And your horse will be like, oh, okay. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about target sticks. This is the foundation for so many behaviors that you can teach your horse. Think of this as like the starting block to whatever your creativity can take you to. If you can think it up and your horse can physically do it, then you can teach it to your horse and incorporate a target stick in some form or another. So let's get into it. So, what is a target stick? A target stick is a common tool used in positive reinforcement training, and essentially it's used as a draw for the horse. So, we start by teaching the horse to touch their nose to the target and then follow the target. And so, in that way, we can use it as a draw for our horse to do things such as get forward movement, to teach lunging, to start teaching self carriage. Because when you are drawing your horse rather than driving your horse, it can be a lot easier to get your horse to understand what it is that you want them to do. And also because it's coming from a different place. So the horse is seeking out the stick because something good happens when the horse does that. Whereas when you're using like a lunge whip and you're driving your horse, you are putting pressure onto your horse and then your horse moving away from that is the reward. That's more relief. So obviously the emotion attached to that is going to be a bit different. I'm not saying that using a lunge whip or driving a horse is evil and terrible. I'm just trying to explain the differences between the two tools and why we use them for different things. So this can be really helpful if you've got a really sensitive horse or you've got a horse that's had issues in the past with lunging or pressure, or you've got a horse that's quite timid and quite nervous, because this gives them the control. When you're using a whip, it's a little bit like, I'm going to do this. And essentially, the horse has no choice as to whether they move or not. If they don't move, then usually pressure is escalated until they do move. So when you present that whip or that cue, the message that you're sending to your horse is do this or else, essentially. But when you're using a target stick, the horse chooses to touch it. So the horse has free choice. They have control. You've asked them something. Hey, would you like to touch this with your nose? And the horse goes, yes, I would like to touch that with my nose. But sometimes they go, you know what? No, I don't really want to do that. I want to do this instead. And that's totally fine. That's how you build a better partnership, because if your horse is like, oh, no, thanks, I don't really want to touch that, I would prefer to do this. Well, then it's up to you to figure out how to get your horse to want to touch it. So how to make it better for your horse. And when you make it better for your horse is going to be more likely to enjoy spending time with you. Like usually when a horse says no to a target stick, it's just because it's too far away. That's it. You just move it a bit closer and ask them again. And they go, oh, yeah, I can do that. And then you just ask a little bit further away, a little bit further away. And if they can't do it, then you go back. So it's really a way to work with your horse and meet them on the level that they're at and establish communication as well. But most of the time, you're not going to have any problems with your horse touching the target stick as long as you train it properly, because it has such a strong, what we call reinforcement history. So the history behind this is every time they touch this, something really good happens. So they start to see this in a more positive and a more positive and a more positive light. So whenever you ask them to do things associated with this, they're going to be like, yeah, like 9 times out of 10, they're going to be like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I'm coming. I know you're so excited.
You don't have to have a fancy target like this, although I am in the process of making these. I'm in the test phase at the moment, the prototype phase. But once I have finished testing it, I'm going to be selling these, and they're going to be coming in all different colors and all different designs. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. But it's probably a couple of months away at the moment, just because still in the testing phase. In the meantime, like if you cannot find a target stick, you can use a fly swatter. You can use a pull noodle on the end of a stick, or even just a pull noodle. You can use a whip if you want. That's a bit challenging though. I use a whip, so you will see me using whips in my video, but I do not recommend that for beginners. It can be a lot harder for your horse to understand, that's all, especially if they've got a history of the whip meaning other things. The reason it's harder for them to understand with the whip is because there's no actual obvious target for them to touch. So you're going to have a horse that's touching all these bits. And if you don't know how to shape properly, then you're going to end up making your horse confused, and then you're going to get confused, and then it's all just, So I highly recommend using a target stick when you're first starting out that has an obvious place for your horse to touch. So I'm going to explain to you guys how to use the target stick, and then I'm going to show you how to use it with your horse. So I'm going to explain it first, and then I'm going to show you with either Tarek or Aragon, whoever wants to work with me. When you're first starting out, make sure that you have primed your marker. So your marker is a clicker or a verbal cue as a mark. So like yes or good. I highly recommend though getting a mechanical clicker because horses are really, really sensitive to changes in tone with emotion. So even though you may be saying the same word to your horse and in your perception, you mean the same thing to your horse, maybe picking up something else. If you say yes and sometimes you're a little bit annoyed, then that's going to sound different to when you say yes and you're really happy, and your horse is going to be able to read into that. And then that's going to change, their perception. So I highly recommend a mechanical clicker. I use a mechanical clicker most of the time. I do have a verbal marker for my horses so that I can reinforce things that I see if I don't have my clicker on me or I don't have time to click. But when I am training anything or shaping anything, I am using a mechanical clicker. Once you've done that, pretend that my nose is the horse's nose and you want to hold your stick as close to their nose as you possibly can so that they're 100% going to bump it with their nose. And the most horses, when you do this, will be like, ooh, what's that? Let me investigate. And they're going to put their nose to it anyway or their mouth. If you have a horse that is quite timid and scared of objects, then you're probably going to have to start actually from quite far away and just show them the stick and approach cautiously and carefully and just let them investigate it on their own terms. And then the second that their nose touches the stick, you're going to click. So timing's very important. And you're going to reward your horse and you're going to take your stick away. Take it away. Do not leave it there because your horse is going to be like, okay, they're not going to understand. So this is what what a lot of people call the on position, is when you're presenting your target to your horse. The off position is you take it out of their line of sight. And that's how they know when they're supposed to touch it and when they're not supposed to touch it. So you take it away, feed your horse. Your horse is like, oh, cool. That was pretty cool. Like, all right. And then when you're ready, don't rush, especially if you're new to this. Like, just take your time. It's okay. Have your target stick and present it again to your horse really close to their nose so that they're guaranteed to touch it. The second they do, click, take it away. Here you go. And your horse will be like, oh, okay. And if your horse is new to clicker training, it can take them a while to figure out that they're the ones that are earning the click, because a lot of the time in traditional training or like natural horsemanship, the horse understands the dynamic a bit differently. So when you sort of put the power into your horse's hands, it can take them a little while to actually realize that they are allowed to do things, and it's okay. So just go slow with it. Take your time. So once your horse understands what the target stick means, you can start experimenting with bringing it further and further away. So presenting it, I should say, further and further away. So you go from the off position. Maybe at the start you were doing it right here and that was right at the horse's nose. Then next time, maybe you're going to do it here, so that then they've got to move towards it and seek it out, because then you're teaching them to come to the target. And then you just do that over and over again, slowly building up the distance. If you present it and your horse doesn't come or they ignore you, then just go back a few steps to a shorter distance. Make it easier for them and then build up again. They're not ignoring you because they're dominant. They're not ignoring you because they're taking the piss. They're either like, it's too far away, it's not worth it because I want to conserve energy because I'm a prey animal. Or they're like, huh? So those are the only two things that they're going to be doing, okay? So take the stories out of it and just work with the horses you've got in the moment, be present with them, and just take your time. Go at your horse's pace. Some horses will learn this really quickly. Some horses will take a little bit longer. That's okay. We're all different. What matters is just you and your relationship with your horse in that present moment at that very exact time that you were doing the training right then. The other thing that you're going to do with your target stick, once your horse is really good at approaching the target stick, is you're going to teach them to follow the target stick. And that is a different behavior than the one that we just taught. So don't expect that they're going to cross over because they are a little bit, but they're not. You got to teach them separately. So I'm going to go now and find a volunteer to show you how I teach the follow the target. I'm in the paddock. There is a horse just there. I actually forgot my treat pouch and I do not want to walk up that hill again. So we're going to be doing it with no treats. I said, hello, would you like to come over here? Badger, stop guarding me from the horse that I'm trying to call over. Back off. Out. So he's like a proper working dog. Like he's from working dog stock. They're wired differently, I swear. He's just like, I just want to work for the sake of working because I love working. It's crazy. Come here. Oh, great. Now they're both over here. Hello, Aragon. How are you? Yeah, very good. Very good. Okay. Apparently, I'm just like a big scratching post to him. I need you to show everyone how to do targeting with their horse. So can you put your head up, please? Thank you. Now, this is a target. So what you're going to do is you're going to hold it. Yes. Good job. So he was already seeking it out. So it's hard for me to explain with a horse that has never done it before, but like just put it as close as you can to the horse's nose and they will touch it. Mark, reward, take it away. Good. Good job. He's like, oh, thank you. But you have no foods this time. And I'm like, yes, I know that. And he's like, okay, well, I'll eat some grass. And then that can be his reward. He's grazing. Now I'm going to show you how I do the follow. So with the follow, it's a bit different. When it's still like this, when it's a stationary target and you're asking your horse to move towards it to touch it, you are stationary also. At least that is how I train my horses to do it. I find that's the clearest. When you are stationary and you present the stick, you will remain stationary and the horse has to come and touch the target. If you are moving with the stick, then that is the cue for follow the target. So the horse, instead of seeking out to touch the target, they don't need to touch it. They just need to move with the target like that. That's the start of the draw. So I have a video that I'm going to show you guys now how I do the follow the target. So you want to present it and then move, click when your horse moves. You don't want to click when your horse touches it. The goal is not for your horse to touch this. The goal is for you to have your horse follow the target stick. And that's how quick I want to click, because otherwise your horse is going to get frustrated. They're going to get confused when they're first learning it because they've gone from standing still and touching it with their nose to suddenly the stick is moving away from them. And some horses just don't really understand that. They're two different concepts. So present it in motion. Good job. Present it in motion. Your horse moves, click, reward. So notice when I'm clicking and rewarding, it's when he's in motion, not when he's stopped, not when he's touching the target stick. So guys, that's it for today's video. If you found this helpful, I would love it if you could like and comment below. It really helps me. It helps the algorithm. And don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss out on any new videos, because I have a bunch of videos to come. Cool. I'll see you guys in the next video.